Okay, I want to just do this video and let's go with it.
My Africans in America, my Africans. Oh gosh, I don't know why you had to do that, like that little, rewind 3 times. Like, I mean, Brett, like it sounds like you're trying to, push a narrative with that, and I kind of feel like that's a bit unfair because you know Pearl personally. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you know her personally. You've had conversations with her. You've got to know her, just as I've got to know her. You know she's not racist, bro.
All right, guys. So earlier today, I made a video about some YouTube drama that I guess I'm involved in now, right? As one of the leaders of the Black manosphere, Mr. O'Shea Duke Jackson, called me out for defending Just Pearly Things in her interview with Nick Fuentes. Now, the Black manosphere is upset with Just Pearly Things because she interviewed Nick Fuentes, who's allegedly a white supremacist, and they feel like she didn't push back hard enough against his alleged racism, and also they felt like that she was being racist in some of her commentary about slavery and dating, and she didn't do enough to defend her Black employees, etc., etc., right? They got all upset about it, right? They're more mad about it than her actual Black employees who are supposed to be offended by this.
And I want to be clear, it's not just inviting said person to the conversation that's upsetting, because conversations with people who don't agree with each other or don't agree with a particular position, if done in a healthy way, can promote civil discourse.
Okay.
But your up was to not only not defend the people who help create the content on your platform, but to also push a narrative that is insensitive and damaging to those very same people. Pearl, you know that your staff is mostly Black people. And I'm talking about from a production perspective as well as a talent perspective. You also know that the majority of your content utilizes Black people talking about Black relationship issues. You could have had...
I'll say this from my own point of view. I've had my channel for many, many years before any of you even knew Just Pearly Things. Before I was working with her, I had a channel and I talked about, racial issues and things of that nature, as well as, the dating dynamics and, men's self-improvement. So, I just want to make that clear, because a lot of people, they're coming out and saying stuff along the lines of, oh, yeah, you can't say nothing because Pearl's your boss and blah, blah, blah. I've always been able to say what I want on my channel, and that is just being consistent and constant. So I just want to make that clear.
Pearl has recently come under fire for these particular comments.
I'm trying to get my Africans in America, my Africans. Oh gosh, I don't know why you had to do that, like that little, rewind 3 times. Like, I mean, Brett, like it sounds like you're trying to, push a narrative with that, and I kind of feel like that's a bit unfair because you know Pearl personally. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you know her personally. You've had conversations with her. You've got to know her, just as I've got to know her. You know she's not racist, bro. So, I think that, putting that little repeating little my Africans part, to me, that's a bit distasteful. But
so I made a video defending it. O'Shea Duke Jackson took issue with me defending it. Okay. Apparently, I'm not a part of the Black community because I don't have the right opinions. And he believes that I am a sellout, okay? He believes I'm a sellout because apparently I have the wrong opinions, right? So again, we've heard this before, okay?
It's the constant stereotype of Black people that's just so disgusting.
When it comes to Black people who think differently than the rest of Black folks, especially when it comes to the issue of race, you are a sellout, okay? Because you're not allowed to have your own opinions without selling out Black folks. Amazing stuff. So I actually want to respond to another video that he dropped. This video is all about me, right? And my response to Just Pearly Things apology. And after this, I'm not responding to this anymore, right? I'm done with this because, quite honestly, and I'm going to show you guys in this video, this is beneath me, okay? I'm being real with you guys. This is not the level of conversation I want to engage in with this person because, quite honestly, I'm not necessarily sure if he can keep up, okay? So I'm going to show you guys why here doing this video response. But I just want to tell you guys beforehand, hopefully this is the last response. But I do want to address some of his criticisms, okay, of the things I was saying. And then, again, that's going to be it for me when it comes to this conversation here about just pearly things. Quite honestly, I don't have a dog in this fight. It is what it is. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Racism and platforming race.
All right, guys. So, number one, and just listening to that, right? I'm only going to deal with the whole video because I think, the brother is very, very disingenuous, and you'll find out. The first thing he said that is Nick Fuentes is allegedly a white supremacist.
Well, I mean, he is allegedly a white supremacist, okay? Because the reason why I say allegedly is because even though the media says he's a white supremacist, he has personally himself denied the label of white supremacist, okay? So using the word alleged there is appropriate. And I also use allegedly all the time. Most of the time, it's just sarcasm, right? It's comedic relief. That's why I do it. I just find the word to be funny, right, and how it's used. But in this case right here, the word alleged, when describing Nick Fuentes as a white supremacist, is actually correct because he's denied that label.
And it's factually untrue. How can you be a white supremacist if you're not even white? That doesn't make any sense. And just because sometimes some black people act like if you're not black, you must be white. That's ignorant. I understand you are stuck thinking of how it is to be a dark-skinned black man, but there are other races out there than just black. It's just what it is. And just because he's not the same race as you does not make him a white person. It just makes you completely ignorant on race.
And that, he's has an affiliation to Kanye West, so therefore he likes black people, and it's sad that he doesn't get to say his political views. So he uses the word alleged white supremacist. I want to play a clip of Nick Fuentes admitting he is a racist. Play that clip.
I know it's elect racists.
Oh, I'm not racist.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Nick.
Yeah.
So, originally he says he's not racist. I don't get how people try and say he said he was racist when his first reaction was that he said he's not racist, and then he made a joke about being racist.
I am a little bit
Yeah,
racist, but listen, but it's not because I hate people. I love people. It's just race is real. Race is real. Race is a part of us. So, hey, it is what it is.
And the Italians, we do not claim you.
Hey, the Italians don't claim you. You're the one dating a black guy. The Italians don't claim me. They don't claim you.
Oh, no, they claim me. They claim me.
I don't think so.
They do.
Italian guys, yeah.
Italians,
Tell an
we're
Italian
big-
guy
we're
about
big
your
lovers.
affinity for black guys. That'll go over real well.
All right.
So, yeah, it was like, the first reaction was specifically, he said he's not racist. Then he made a joke saying, yeah, I'm racist, but I love all people, which kind of goes against the whole idea of being racist in itself, which kind of lets you know he was making a joke there. He was even laughing while he said it. Then after that, she said, Italians don't claim you. Well, if you've seen other video I just showed, specifically on this this show, basically, they talk a lot about him being mixed race. So they talk a lot about him being biracial, and many of the people here don't see him as Italian, but a mixed race person with Mexican ancestry, since he is part Mexican. And she specifically says Italians don't claim him. He talks about race afterwards. What do you think that means? He specifically is referencing what she's referencing, and she says it in another clip, that she specifically knew at the time that he was Mexican and Italian, and saying that he's not claimed for being Italian because he's Mexican and Italian, which means that if somebody says to a biracial person, you're not claimed by Italians or Irish people or whatever the race you're mixed with because you're half black, because you're half Chinese, because you're half Mexican, if somebody responds back, well, if they don't claim me, they don't claim you because you're dating a black man. That's actually an appropriate retort, considering the conversation was brought into the biracial person's race. So that's not really racism. So I don't really think his comment was racist, one, and I don't think him saying after she was trying to be adamant that he was racist, making a joke about being racist, when he originally said he's not racist. So, yeah.
So, this guy, okay, so...
How do people think this person is a white person? I don't get it. Where do you see a white person here? His features are completely Mexican. Like, his whole facial structure, if you make him brown, would you think he was part white? No. Because you would see his facial features. All his facial features imply he's Latino, not specifically someone who is white. Someone who is mixed with native and white, though. Continue.
His rebuttal to my calling of Nick Fuentes a white, alleged white supremacist is him playing a clip of Nick Fuentes joking about being a little racist. As if that's an admission that he's a white supremacist. Also, let's just say that Nick Fuentes is racist, which a lot of people do believe. Let's say that he is racist. There's a difference between being a racist and a white supremacist, right? I don't think he's an actual white supremacist. If he is an actual white supremacist, he's very ineffective at it, right? He's not an actual real threat to anybody, okay? But again, there's a difference between being racist and a white supremacist. You can be racist without being a white supremacist, okay? But I do think that if you're a white supremacist, you are racist, but you can be a racist without being a white supremacist.
And the thing is, how can, logically speaking, do you think a racist person is going to support a black man in an interracial marriage, on his second interracial marriage at that, for president? No, you wouldn't. So, I'm just saying, just pointing that out there. Considering he wanted to support a black man for president, I don't really think, that whole racist idea really works out with this situation. It really doesn't. But especially not white supremacists when he's not white to begin with. You have to be white to be a white supremacist. Black people can't be white supremacists because you can't be a white anything. You can't be a white school teacher if you're a black person, or a Hispanic person, or a mixed person. You can't be those things because you're not a white person. Okay? You can be a supremacist. You could be a school teacher. You get what I'm saying? But you cannot be a white supremacist, and you cannot be a white teacher. The description, this adjective, basically, in that sentence, you cannot be, because you are not white. White doesn't describe you. So that's why I'm just trying to point out there that, like, people trying to say that specifically Nick Fuentes was racist, or he said that he was racist. One, he made a joke after he specifically said he's not racist. His first reaction was, wait, I'm not racist. That's what his first reaction was. And then he made a joke. And then she came in with a racist racial tinged accusation, basically, saying that he specifically is not claimed by Italians in order to make him feel less than or sad or bad, basically, about him being biracial, you know. And then he came back to say the same thing about her in an interracial relationship. It is very appropriate, and nothing in that clip specifies that he's actually a racist. Continue.
Furthermore, for all the crying about racism, right? Racism so bad. This guy right here is basically a self-admitted racist, okay? This guy said, hey, I wouldn't collab with white people, right? I wouldn't allow white people on my platform. I don't want to work with whites. I don't think he believes in interracial dating either, okay? So he doesn't believe in interracial dating like Nick Fuentes. He doesn't want to work with, white people, which is unlike Nick Fuentes, who actually...
And this is the thing. Nick Fuentes doesn't seem to focus on other people's interracial relationships as much as O'Shea Duke Jackson clearly focuses on other people's interracial relationships without it being brought up or it having to do with anything. You see, that's the difference. So you could say that Nick Fuentes, which, by the way, he is into interracial dating because he's into white people. He is not white. He's mixed. He's a person of color, but that's a different story. But the point is, like, he's not focused on what other people do. But O'Shea Duke Jackson is always focused on what other people do because he's a racist. You know, he is actually very angry and very hateful to black men and black women who interracially date, interracially marry. He honestly hates them, but he'll use them when he wants to for an argument against white people sometimes because he wants to implement his racism against white people. Sometimes he will overlook the black person in the situation, in the relationship, marriage, or whatever it may be, to basically smear the white person. Usually in the case of black men with white women. I noticed that. But yeah, I do agree with that. And he specifically openly said that he does not like working with white people, and he will not work with white people. So that is true.
Show that he's willing to work with black folks.
But
yet again, this guy wants to cry racism. Racism is so bad, except when he does it. Again, it's only bad when the white man does it. Okay? You see how this works? See, again, this is why I really don't want to engage.
I do think that for him, he doesn't put too much importance in the racist person. He uses it as a way to basically malign the white person so black people can think negatively of the white person. But I don't think he puts too much into the idea of it because the way it seems for him, I don't think he really cares that they're racist. I think he cares that other people, other black people, recognize that a white person is racist. So then he can smear them in a sense where other black people can hate those white people because he hates white people, and he enjoys when black people hate white people because he hates them, you know.
And this back and forth with this guy because I just don't know if it's worth the intellectual capacity here, right? I'm just not sure, right? Because this stuff is not hard to understand, okay? But let's keep going here.
In my observation, I mean, I think he's probably very entertaining to his audience, but definitely not a very bright guy. I mean,
hey, maybe I'm not a very bright guy, right? I never claimed to be the sharpest tool in the shed, okay? But I'm just saying, based off this response right here from Mr. O'Shea, I'm not sure if that's the insult I would have went with in this video.
Honestly, there was this thing I was watching, it's Tay-Tay, and she was watching a video of his and saying how dumb he is. And it kind of made me think, yeah, maybe his content is just kind of, low vibrational, honestly. But yeah, that's just something I noticed with him. Anyway, continue.
I don't have an issue with him, but
commercial, sorry guys.
The most difficult countries you can play in Supremacy 1914. When you start a new match in Supremacy 1914.
There you go.
Yeah, obviously this guy is just, it sounds like he's very, very, he sounds like he's in a big mood to pander, right? And
I'm pandering because I had the wrong opinions, right? You don't believe what I believe, okay? Or, you know, you have opinions that I feel like black people shouldn't have, so therefore you have to be pandering. You can't actually believe it. You have to be pandering. That's it. That's the only way that a black person can have these types of opinions. Again, you know, it's funny because no other race of people does this. Okay, where they tell, hey, you can't have this opinion, right? You're less white if you have this opinion. You're not a true white. I mean, even the white liberals, I never see their whiteness stripped away when they're out here preaching on the woke altar, right? I never see people say, you're not a real white, right? Like, I never see that, okay? But black people, though, you know, if you're conservative, they try to strip away your blackness, right? And see, a lot of these people, they have to respond to this just pearly things situation because some of these black people went on her podcast, her show. The woke mob got mad and they started to attack their blackness for not going after just pearly things. So now, again, a lot of these people are just attacking her because they're trying to, you know, keep their black card. Which, I mean, you know, hey, if you want to lie in bed with people like that want to try to strip you of your identity because you have a difference of opinion, hey, go for it. But, you know, hey, I'm going to continue to do my thing over here. And that's what he's doing.
That's the thing. I noticed that in the black woman sphere side of YouTube. I remember at one point it was just always like, oh, you cannot be a black woman because you have these certain views. You did not react the way we want you to, and all this stuff. So we need to make up any way that you are not a black woman. That is possible. Anything. Like anything. It was always so crazy to me because it's like, can I just be an individual? I mean, it's so damn boring to just be exactly a carbon copy of everybody else. If I just have to spew out shit that somebody else believes, I might as well not say shit. Being completely honest. Anyway, continue.
On his channel, especially with this particular video. I haven't watched any of the other videos.
So you haven't watched any of my other videos, but you're in a position to say that I'm a sellout, which he said in the comment section. I'm pandering, okay? You're making all these accusations about me, but you've only watched one video and that's it, and you've already come to this conclusion. So you really don't know exactly what my viewpoints are, what my arguments are, but again, you've come to all these conclusions. Again, this is...
Well, that's because he hates conservatives. I've seen this tendency with him. He constantly hates conservatives. Like, he's gone after quite a few conservatives. Black conservatives. Because he feels like they're not, I guess, true to the... They're not true, basically, to the whole, you know, stereotypical idea of black people, basically, the stereotypical ideology, the typical behavior, and so forth. So anyway,
why I'm done with this. Right, I'm done with this.
But I mean, it's not a good take. So the guy says, well, she has black employees and she has a black boyfriend, so obviously she isn't racist. Well, African Americans have 15% white DNA on average. Can you not say that whites having sex with blacks, they can't be racist? Of course you can have sex with somebody and be...
That's not true. I'm so freaking tired of black people lying. I think maybe because Duke Jackson does look like a foreigner, so maybe he is 85% black. Most black Americans are not 15% European. Most black Americans are 25% European. It's a lie that some people try and claim that black Americans are on average 15% European, but there has yet to be a study basically done on genetic testing of black Americans where the average lie between 85%. Around 85%. The highest test was around 81, 82%. Now, there have been tests that have proven that Black Americans on average are 65% Black. And there are plenty of tests, like studies that have been done, where the tests basically have had anywhere between 71 and 82% as the average. So it's somewhere in that range of the 70s, mainly. But definitely not 85%. And 65% would be one of the outliers, too. But there have been studies that have shown that Black Americans on average are 65% Black. Well, you can say basically that Black Americans lie around the percentage of basically biologically having one grandparent that is non-Black. I mean, most of us do. And honestly, those of us who don't look out of the norm usually fit into that category. Be it some of us do have situations where we may not have European, but we may have Native American, or we may have Indian, South Asian for that matter, or some other mixture other than English. But usually we will all fall in that 80 or 70 to 80% range when including that. So anyway, continue.
Racist. It's very possible. It happens all the time.
Man, my respect for O'Shea is really keeping me from calling him names. Okay, I'm not gonna call him any names. Okay, I'm not gonna disrespect him. Okay, I respect my elders, right? Those Black men have come before me. Okay, but come on, man. I mean, you seriously are not comparing a casual sexual relationship to an actual real relationship, right? This is what these people are trying to convince folks. Okay, that somehow, some way, you can be a flaming racist. Okay, but you can literally spend all your time around Black folks. You're friends with Black folks. You have a relationship with a Black man, but somehow you're a racist. I don't know how many racists can actually be in a relationship. I'm not talking about casual sex, okay? And again, I'm not sure if O'Shea can really understand this. Can he comprehend this, okay? But I'm going to try to make it clear for him and simple, right? There's a difference between being in a relationship and having casual sex. Yes, you can be racist and have, casual sex with somebody,
I don't think so, honestly. This is a weird thing that people think. Black Americans can sometimes think that. I don't think you understand what racist means. Racist means basically you see Black people as subhuman. Basically think of it this way. Can you have casual sex with a monkey? Can you have casual sex with an ape? No, you can't. Most people can't have casual sex with any kind of animal or any kind of creature they perceive to be an animal. And that's why I'm like, I don't think people understand that like with racism and white supremacy, they specifically see Black people as subhuman. I think it's because you guys just don't go about looking for specific type of people to speak, because if you did, you would already know that you can't really think of being with those. You can't think of having situations where you are specifically you can't really think of like situations where people who are actually racist would actually have that kind of sexual interest in something that isn't human. I mean, for one, anyway, if Black people aren't even attracted to Black people, why would you think white people would be? Like, you know what I mean? A part of supremacy is avoiding Black people in itself. And to be attracted to Black people, you have to be around them. If you're not around them, you probably won't find them physically attractive or appealing, because what you're used to looking at is not a Black person. So that's one part of it. And then also the other thing I wanted to say on the slavery part, you guys were talking about mixed race and race mixing, because you start talking about black people having 25% European ancestry, not 15. But over half of black Americans during slavery were fathered by white slave owners. So it's not by consensual sex that black Americans got their white ancestry. It was through rape. Rape make them basically have white ancestry. Obviously, consensual sex is very different from rape, so I don't know why he conflated rape with consensual sex. It says a lot about how he sees sex. That's very dangerous. Just the point to make.
You're racist against, okay? That's totally possible. But I don't think you can be racist and quite literally be in a relationship, a real relationship with somebody. I don't think it's possible. You may have some prejudiced viewpoints, but I don't think you actually are really racist, right? I don't think it's possible. Or put it this way, if you want to define it as racism, it is so insignificant that it's not even worth mentioning. It reminds me of the Kaepernick thing. Okay, you know how he accused his parents of being racist, even though they adopted him, but they're racist because they didn't let him have cornrows, right? Again, it's like, okay, well, if you want to define that as racist, then what does racist actually mean?
I don't understand why people say things like that, because it's like, cornrows are very unhealthy for black people's hair in the first place. Now, I don't know about biracial hair because it's mixed hair, but for black people's hair, it's very unhealthy because the hair does not want to be strained like that. People always try and talk about braids and stuff and say that that's good for black people's hair. It's not good for black people's hair. It weakens your hair when you have it in braids like that because the root doesn't like to be stretched. It likes to stay in its natural coiled state. So I mean, it's clearly not racist because some black people don't even know what cornrows are. Like, my mother didn't know what cornrows were until she went to a dermatologist because we have eczema. So, I mean, like hair loss and things of that nature, you go to the doctor for. And he told her about cornrows or something like that and how they are very unhealthy for black American hair. But some black people choose to do it to their hair because they have no, I guess, knowledge of how to take care of their hair, or they don't really care about the fact that they put so much stress on their roots that they just still do it because I guess they have so much disdain for their natural curl pattern. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, continue.
Is it actually significant? I would say in that case, if Colin Kaepernick's white parents are racist, then racism is so insignificant we shouldn't even talk about it, okay? Because they quite literally did not let their racism overcome them adopting a black child and giving him a better life than he probably would have ever had in any other scenario or situation. But, again, my point is this. These people want to cry racism over literally anything, okay? Again, to me, it's to the point, man, it was like you can't take people seriously who toss around the racism accusation so easily. But again, these people want you to believe that you can be friends with black people, you can be in a relationship with black people, you can employ black people, you can give black people a platform, and they're still going to call you racist. Again, this type of stuff is exactly what Scott Adams was talking about. Doesn't matter how much you do for some of these people, you don't get anything out of it, but you're being called a racist. When you're clearly not racist. So again, this is why I don't even want to really engage in this, but I have to respond to this video right here. Because I just don't know if this man really is understanding what I'm saying. I'm not sure if he can comprehend it. Okay? So, again, it is what it is, but yeah, I mean, I'm just, my mind is blown right now. It really is.
All right? Now, he does bring up a very interesting point, which I have brought up before, which is that people could be jealous of her. some of that could be true. There are people who, I mean, she does have a really good system. Obviously, she works hard in her system. She is really good at this YouTube thing. I'll admit that. She gets 500 million views or more, if not almost. This year, she'll probably get 700 million views, okay? So there's nothing to, and I'm in the business every day. So you honestly can't take anything away from her. To have that set up, to run it the way she does, it's top 1% in the business. I'm like top 5 or 10% in the business. She's top 1%. So clearly, people will hate on you if you're successful. That's anybody. So that could be some of the reason.
But I mean, it's 99% the reason. Right? Let's keep it 100. Because at the end of the day, these people are complaining about nonsense. They're complaining about this because it presents an opportunity for them to make money. Okay? Which is, again, that's the irony here. This guy accuses me of being a sellout, but this guy quite literally has made 11, 12 videos. He's made dozens of videos over the last 72 hours.
And this dude keeps making videos. I don't know if he'll stop. Really, honestly. He seems obsessed with her. But I'll say I don't think it's just because of how she's gotten to where she's gotten. Because was it this much animosity towards Kevin Samuels when he had 1 million subscribers and, as much success as he had? No, I think actually it has more to do with her race and her gender. So being a white woman, I think, was another part of it. I think that has to do with, O'Shea Duke Jackson is well known to be a very racist man. And since he's so racist, of course he's going to have animosity towards a white person who's doing well, who's very successful at what they're doing, so much more successful than he is. Of course that angers him. And in a sector of which he has tried so hard to do better at, and still they do so much better than him. Of course, it makes him very angry, and that's why he's so obsessed with her. It's because of his racism and his anger at her for her success. I think this whole issue is because many of these people don't like her because she's white and because she's a woman. I think it's kind of obvious because the main thing these people will start to talk about is her being a white woman over and over again. People talking about her being a white woman. Why can't you talk about the issue that you have with whatever she did, her behavior, and what she said? Why do you have to bring up her race? Her race should be inconsequential. Regardless of her race, it should be her actions that are the problem. But obviously, people are telling you the truth of what bothers them by how many times they mention her race. And it's her race that bothers them, not really any of her actions. That's just a smokescreen. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe and comment down below. Have a great day, guys. Bye.